Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I am your host, June Archer. Today, I love when I get to meet great people who are doing amazing things. This young lady has been on shows like New Amsterdam, Law and Order SVU, The Endgame, Unforgettable. She has a new feature film coming out. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But she's also a writer, and you know how important arts and entertainment is to me. But one of my favorite shows, or I should say networks, Nickelodeon. She writes for DORA, so we're going to jump right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stream, Miss Emma Ramos. Emma, how are you?
It's so good to hear you, to receive all this beautiful energy from you, getting so close to ending the year. It's very special to be here with you. So I'm very grateful.
Let's take a look back, if we can, of 2023 and what that meant for you. What were some of the accomplishments uh, that allowed you to smile in 2023?
Oh, wow. I love that. I started the year playing a two-hander, a play about two people called Espejos Clean in your town, Connecticut. So we at Harvard Stage. This
Wow.
was yes, this was a play we did a year ago in Aspen, part of a solo festival. And what was so special about the play is it was the first time that you had Spanish and English featured in a play in this area of America, and the Spanish was 50% Spanish, 50% English. So this play allowed communities in Connecticut, in Syracuse, and areas that I mean, for me as an immigrant from Mexico, I usually connect Mexicans to LA and the West Side. But in this side that I've made my adult life, which is in New York, it's different. It's like there's a different way of relating. So I started doing this play, feeling very, very grateful to do that on tour. And at the same time, I was writing for Nickelodeon. So I got an episode. I was assigned this episode. I pitched this idea. June, you would love this because we're talking about your connection to kids and how we impact kids by also being open about our lives. So I pitched this idea. I remembered that when I was a kid, um, I didn't like to smile on pictures. I remember hearing my parents saying cheese, and I would go to a tiny bathroom my parents had on the first floor. And as a kid, I would look at in the mirror and I would freeze a smile just to please them and just freeze and run to place myself in the family portrait and just okay cheese, and they would take the picture, and then I would relax. And I remember feeling all these amalgamation of feelings, I would say, as a young girl in Mexico, being like, why do I have to smile? Why do I have to be this way in order to be loved, in order to be accepted? So I pitched to Nickelodeon an idea of what if we make a day in which it doesn't matter if you smile or not for a picture. And they accepted my idea. And the episode is called Say Cheese, in which we have the troll, the angry troll wanting to be in this big picture with all the characters. And they go into a journey and we meet, they gave me all, and you know how hard it is with networks and with
Yes.
mergers and just, it's not only your writer's room and your showrunner, it's like also being greenlit by everybody that has an opinion. And I would say that episode, everybody got involved because I don't know, it was so special to create a world for the trolls. So I was so lucky. So I would rehearse for the two-hander, learn an amount of lines. June, it was a very, very long play. And I had to learn all these lines. It was I would say like a gym. It just challenged me as an actor to do that play and writing this episode. So that's how my 2023 started. And I felt, and it continued to work on, it continued to give me a lot of blessings by doing the work. And I went to New York to do another play called Dia y Noche. The New York Times was there. They gave me a shout out. So therefore, all of a sudden, Grace from NBC, the head of programming, called me and she was like, well, you've been doing a lot of shows here. what do we have for you? And I was like, I'm ready for whatever you have. And that was when I got the offer to do the feature that we'll talk about. And I went to New Mexico to do this amazing feature that is now going to be up at Sundance next month. So, and then we had the strike.
And then we had the strike, right?
And then we had the strike. But that, more or less, those were the biggest highlights that gave me so much joy.
What can you say you learned the most about yourself while the strike was happening, while you couldn't physically go to work on a project, promote a project? Because as an audience who loves entertainment, I don't think they understood the breadth of what it is that you all could not do. But what did you learn most about yourself when you literally had to sit still?
Yes, I love this question. I learned to become active in and for my union. That's the biggest thing I learned. I gave myself a moment a day to feel all the feelings, which included fear, big aspect of that, because the pandemic happened, 2 years before. So we already had that in our field. But I learned to be active. And after being sad and fearful, I thought to myself, how can I turn this emotion into action? How can I serve and know what's actually happening before I read it on a magazine or on the news? And this was my first time to become a delegate for SAG-AFTRA in New York. I got involved in the backside of it, being active with, going to the union. Linda Powell, the now vice president of SAG-AFTRA, is an actress that I admire on stage, and she also has this political aspect of her life and her family. And she invited me. We are both on a theater company called the Actor Center. She set up an invitation to see who wanted to, donate their time and maybe become a delegate for the union. And that's what I did. And that taught me so many lessons, June, because I would, whenever I received or whenever I read information that would spike fear, I would go to the base, to my foundation, which are the people that were fighting for what we needed. And I felt more secure. And also I would shed information that didn't serve the action and the purpose. So it made me look at the goal with sharper eyes, which is something that as artists, we continue to be, aiming for, to make sure how to take away the noise and just connect to our truth or our spiritualness or whatever we have to, that thing that it's our goal, which is continue to serve by storytelling. So it just eliminated a lot of the BS around what I thought was that I needed to do. And the other great thing I would say that I was very grateful just picketing, doing the lines, going to picketing outside the studios, was in that line, I connected to my friends that I haven't seen in a while. It informed me that community is the best thing you can have. And in New York, I mean, June, I went to this, I went to march outside Netflix where there was the Latinx day. And it was a party. It was everybody connecting to one another, even people that we know each other through social media. We were hugging. We were all the same person, no matter if you were a series regular, if you were a guest star, if you were a principal, if you were working in tech, if you were crafty. Everybody on that line, regardless of your professional of your personal lives, once you finish that picketing, we were all one, which is what we want in theater and what we want in TV and what we want in our sets. And it connects to what we were fighting for, which is fair wages. So it was, I would say, exhilarating at the end. But I would say that it happened because I allowed myself right at the beginning to feel all the emotions, to not negate that I was fearful, that I was angry, that I didn't understand, and also to acknowledge where I come from. In Mexico, I grew up in Mexico. It's a very different way to fight for your rights. Because in Mexico, the idea that I had a chance to work in the entertainment business, that in itself is such a privilege. Like,
Mm.
why stop work to ask for more? But those ideas, I had to sit with those ideas and listen to them and where they came from and why I had those ideas, and then empower myself because I am part of the union of actors, and how powerful it was to hold on to anything we could in order to wait for the results we have today.
I love it. I love how eloquently you stated that, and mentioning community and friendships, networking, making sure that everyone that is involved with every aspect of what we love on film and television was treated fairly and got just being firm, fair, and consistent across the board, and what that meant, just being seen, being heard. I want to ask you about challenges in two different ways. You talk about the challenges of 2023, challenges of obviously the strike, growing up in Mexico, immigrating to the United States. For you, you said you tapped into your foundation, which is your culture. Emma, for you, for the young black and brown girl who is Emma at 12 years old trying to figure it out, what do you say to her in terms of having the strength to get through in order to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
It's funny, Jude, because to the young Emma, to the young brown and black kids, there's a certain age where the power is so intact.
Mm,
If I had to talk to her, she would say, I know, I know. So I would actually talk to the girl that grew up absorbing negativity, the girl that grew up in environments where the bullies or the fearful ones or the aggressors wanted to shut down the light. And I think that's been my my work nowadays is to kind of hold, like, kind of locate where all those pebbles in my system and in my soul stayed inside me, and with a lot of care say thank them because they saved me in certain situations, to be cautious. But now I want to say trust and
mm,
let go. So I think there's something about the word empowerment that for the longest time in my career, it came with a lot of anger and acknowledgement of the injustice. And that is great, to be conscious about the inequalities. And that gave me gas to write, and to any time that I would be on set and I would be the only Mexican, or if I, whatever situation I went through, that anger kept me going. I'm now at a different moment in my life where I'm inviting trust to my life again. And that takes a lot of healing and a lot of tenderness. Yeah.
mm. I love it. Where did you gather inspiration from to become this creative? Was it something that you saw in your family? Did you watch it on television as a young girl, and you had these dreams and goals and aspirations? Where did you get the inspiration? and where do you get it from now to continue going?
I get inspiration, June, as a kid because I grew up in a very sheltered Catholic home. And the short answer was always no. You want to go out? No. You want to wear that dress? No. You want to, everything was scary. And as a kid, I didn't understand that. I grew up in a specific region in Mexico where it was very dangerous at the time. There were shootings happening outside, and there was it was hectic politically at times. And my parents did, young parents, young Mexican couple, just try to control the girl, and it's also a very macho culture. So I was
Right.
a girl living in this, hometown where if you go out, maybe you don't come back, or if a drug lord sees you on the street and finds you attractive. My father has friends that their daughters, they were kidnapped, and then the life became, and I can talk to you very straightforward, June, because I think that serves your audience. And I think that, funny enough, Seinfeld was the thing that I would watch.
Wow.
So
Shout out to Jerry Seinfeld.
yeah, I would what, and my mom, she would be like, why are you laughing? It's in English and nothing happens. Like, what are you? And I would feel so much comfort thinking that these adults would come and talk about their lives, to come to their apartment and talk about their lives, and it's like nothing happens, and they're not worried, felt. I mean, I couldn't articulate that at the time, but it just
Right.
gave me like, oh my God, there's a world out there that I could be there. And so Jerry Seinfeld, and reading. My dad had this Disney encyclopedia, and like he works in the fields and in the agricultural business, and he's very connected to nature. He's kind of like a shaman to me, and he would always, every time that I would be fearful about wanting to leave and not being allowed to leave, he was the one that told me that through books I could go anywhere. And so that is the core of how in my body I know that your imagination and storytelling, the things you say to your brain, are the things that sometimes free us. So that's where I get my juice from wanting to leave, needing some form of expression, and then actually be able to do so. I was a very studious kid, so if you tell me you have to do A, B, C, D, I will do to the Z. I will do everything in order to find a way out if I feel that I'm fighting for a better now.
Thank you for sharing that, because I know that we hear stories about Mexico and all of these countries who were riddled with violence, um, and all the things that come with it. And I thank you for sharing that piece. And I know there's a larger piece to that, but I know that will help someone who's watching and listening and say, "Man, I could. If Emma could do it, I could do it." You know, we grow up in situations we don't understand what our parents had to go through in order to allow us or afford us the opportunities that we have.
Yeah.
Right. So it's only until you become an adult or you become a parent that you say, "Man," you start to hear the voices of your parents because you're saying them. You're like, I used to hate that saying, but I find myself saying that to this day. So I thank you for sharing that. A lot of people don't get to experience what you experience. And one of the things that I saw that was super impressed with and love is you had the opportunity to do a TED Talk. And I didn't understand all of it because I was watching it in your native language. But just to see you up there, what was that experience like?
It was incredible. And Sorry, let me reframe that. Incredible is not the right word. It was cathartic.
Okay.
It was cathartic because I said the TED Talk is in Spanish, and my dad was there. And the TED Talk is called Muerta de Risa No Muerta, and it talks about the power of comedy. When I was invited to do this TED Talk, I shared a story that became the core of the TED Talk, which is when I was a younger person and I was working in Mexico City, I went through an express kidnap. And the way I was able to free myself was to make my kidnappers laugh. So because I have that in my body, I know that you can touch demons if you make them laugh. If you ground yourself enough, you can save yourself.
Wow.
The core of the TED Talk, and it was cathartic because as you prepare for a TED Talk, as many of your viewers know, I mean, the whole preparation, you are with the other panelists, and you get coaching. And every time, June, that I had to, rehearse it, because we were on Zoom most of the time, because I lived in New York, so everything was on Zoom for me. But seeing my fellow Mexicans, especially the women in that group, one by one, like shut down the video.
Yes.
And then send me a message, a personal message saying, I also went through that. 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 It was, oh my goodness. Sometimes you do things because you think you personally need to shed something or to move forward. And the impact it has when you share it,
yes,
it ends up being the actual reason why you do what you do. So that is what happened to me. I all of a sudden saying it in Spanish, because language plays, this is something learned, right? But my heart and my first language is Spanish. So saying it in Spanish, my father didn't know that happened until the pandemic. So that was another thing, that seeing me on the stage, saying what happened, knowing that his daughter is alive, and she did that because she made the kidnappers laugh, and all that fear he lived through by trying to contain me. I mean, I can tell you so many things that were very powerful. So if there's anybody listening to your podcast, or right now that have a secret, keeping a secret turns into sickness. And sometimes when we share these secrets, it just metabolizes into something else, and it helps others. So it was cathartic, June.
Wow. Wow. All I can say is wow. Wow, Emma. You are an amazing spirit. This is such a blessing. And it's crazy that we have to shift to this, but thank you for sharing that. I want to talk about, because I don't want to hold you up too long. I want to talk about this new opportunity in the summers. It's preparing to get premiered at as a new Sundance movie, January 22nd. It's right around the corner. How excited are you about this? And tell us just a little bit, without giving it all away, what In the Summers is.
Yes, thank you, June. In the Summers is a feature from Alessandra La Carosa. She is the writer-director of this movie. It's a story about a dad, which is played by René Residente. His first acting lead on a feature. He's a musician. I believe you know his music. He's huge. And so the story is about the relationship he has with his two daughters every summer. So you see him struggling with addiction and how these girls every summer go to Las Cruces, New Mexico, to connect with dad, and how they grew up in this environment. And I play the owner of a bar. My character's name is Carmen, and I got a chance to, my character, the purpose of my character is very, very much the connection to these girls, because in terms of they have their mom back in LA. Every time they go to Las Cruces, I am the best friend of their dad, and they can fight a lot of things with me. So it was fascinating to shoot this film, to read that script. When I read that script, I was like, okay, so this is something special, very special. And how are they going to do this? Because of the timeline and because of the subject matter, because you need to hire kids. I mean, it's very real, and it's very, very, it's dramatic, the movie. So we shot that before the strike, thank God. And then we're now premiering it at Sundance, and I'm very excited. Tomorrow, actually, I have my first and last ADR session that I'm doing. So I'm going to see them all over Zoom, and I'm excited to see.
And I'm excited for you. This sounds like an amazing project. You're excited. Thank you for sharing everything. I know this is just a snapshot of your journey, but I want to ask you before I let you go, what song best represents your journey up to this point, or which recording artist and their music best represents your journey up to this point?
Wow. You go straight to the heart, huh? All right.
Why not?
Yeah. Jesus, Jude. Let me think about it. What song I'll tell you. I mean, the song that's coming up. Please don't laugh, okay?
No. Listen,
okay.
We're cool now. Like we're family now.
Okay. I Am Changing.
Ooh.
You know that song?
Yes.
That was the song I picked for. There's a part of the song. Well, there are two songs. I Am Changing was the song that I picked for my graduate program because of the lyrics about I've changed my life, and I won't stop here. Or I don't remember the lyrics right now, but I Am Changing was very, very, very important in my life. Has been and very important in my life. And there is, this is something that you're going to find maybe funny. My dad had an obsession with Barry White.
Is your dad the Mexican Barry White? Is he the Mexican Barry White?
He's the Mexican Barry White. He's the #1 fan. Listen to this, June. This is when I was a baby. Okay, so I'm listening to, these songs from a baby to when I'm like 10 or something. Not knowing anything. My dad, I mean, he barely speaks English, but he loved Barry White. So I would listen to Barry, and it will give me so much comfort. I will go to sleep as a baby with Barry White.
Wow.
And every time I hear Barry White, I know that people connected to, their intimacy, but I connected to my childhood. So my everything, and there are certain songs that and my dad would. It just brings me back to crawling and speaking. So I love Barry White. Barry White is my heart, and it has nothing to do. I have never used Barry White when I'm with my partner. Because for me, Barry White is like my Barney. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God! So it's safe to say, if your partner did play that during an opportunity, you would have to tell them I
I
don't
would
think
just
that's
stop and be like,
appropriate right now.
is not making me horny at all, you know? No. So yeah, that's
Oh,
the yeah, that's the song. Yeah, that song. It's I love. I love
that,
any Very White songs. Yeah.
that is awesome. Emma, is there a phrase, words of advice that you could give that was shared maybe from your dad or a mentor, but I want you to share that in Spanish
Hmm.
and let us know what that is. But a word of encouragement for those who are looking through this tunnel, can't see the light at the end of it, have been disappointed in 2023. They're hoping for a better 2024. What is the best piece of advice that you've been given that you could share for those who are watching and listening? In Spanish first.
Yes. Tú, para ti, contigo. Tú, para ti, contigo. That's my dad's advice since I was born. And it means you with yourself, with yourself. I believe that's the strongest thing in this time because there is a lot of noise, there is a lot of sorrow in the world. There is a lot of joy too, but we don't know what everybody's going through, really, internally. But if you keep the focus in your light internally, you ask your voices inside, then the path is a bit clearer for yourself, for yourself. Because community will help us walking in this life, but we die alone. So check in on yourself is what my dad always says to me whenever and everything I do. Tú para ti contigo. Tú para ti contigo.
Tú para ti contigo.
Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias, Emma Ramos. Thank you so much. Where can we like you? Where can we follow you and see what it is that you're doing and what's coming next?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, and my IG is I am Emma Ramos. And June, this interview was so beautiful. It's very moving. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you for just being you. And thank you for allowing me this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please like her, follow her. In the Summers is coming. It's going to be at Sundance. It is going to be something that we need to get behind and support. And we need to see more diverse roles and stories in film and television and on television itself. More writers of color telling their stories. So please go out and support not only this project that Emma's doing, but everything that you may see her name on. Ladies and gentlemen, I am June Archer. This is the Winner Circle. That is my guest, Emma Ramos. Please like it, love it, share it. And when you have the opportunity to tell somebody that you love them, please do so. It may be the last opportunity that you have to do so. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.